Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Game Gymnastics Podcast. This week I'll be talking through competition formats, so team, all around, apparatus finals, qualifications, all that sort of thing, including the warm-ups and touch warm-ups as well. There's a lot covered today. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the Game Gymnastics Podcast. This week we are going to be going through competition formats, the second part of the book, second chapter of the book we'll call it. And we're going through a few of the different types of competition. So this is important to know because when you're looking at the competition and you're looking at what's happening, sometimes it's hard to know what people are actually trying to do. Obviously, it's always the same, score the highest. Obviously, but specific apparatus and what they're specifically trying to do on those apparatus, like what they're doing on the apparatus is always the same, trying to score as high as possible. But which apparatus they're doing and the specific sort of strategies that go into that, it's harder to know sometimes. First, we're going to be going into, just the general stuff that is about all of them. This is mag specific, just to preface, this is men's artistic gymnastics specific, and all of this is also covered in my book, The Game Gymnastics, Understanding the Game. So if you do find any of this interesting, do check it out. It'll be in the description of the show notes below. So, go into the general stuff that is about pretty much all of them. So the main warm-up is held in the back gym, normally lasts between 1 and 2 hours, but must exceed 1 in like FIG regulated competitions at least. All of this stuff will be on FIG regulated competitions, I should mention as well. This does not apply to random stuff like regional competitions like in the UK, like stuff like that. Sometimes they can be a bit different because they're not sanctioned by FIG. Normally, some of those will be sanctioned by British Gymnastics and they should employ the same sort of rules, but sometimes they can be slightly different, like warm-up times can be a bit different, like they can be a bit shorter. I've seen competitions with, especially like younger gymnasts that have quicker warm-up times essentially, so like 45 minutes-ish, because they've got less to do, like there's less in their routines and they don't need to warm up quite as much as the older guys. So, this will all be in the back gym, and this gym also contains an additional set of parallel bars and pommel horse. Again, on like these big competitions, not so much in the smaller ones. So realistically, in the back gym, there should be 1 floor, 2 sets of P-bars, 2 pommel horses, a set of rings and a horizontal bar. Next thing to clarify is the touch warm-up. So there's the main warm-up and the touch warm-up. Touch warm-up is on each apparatus just before they compete. On each apparatus, it's 50 seconds, except for vault, which is 2 touches, essentially. So it's 2 runs down the vault. But any jumps off the vault, so some gymnasts will opt to literally just jump onto the vault and then do like a tuck back fall or something like that off the vault. That counts as one of the touches. And on every other apparatus, it's 50 seconds, which will be decided by the time judge. If there is no time judge, then it will be done by the D1 judge, which is one of the responsibilities that I didn't mention in the scoring video. So, first competition that I'll be going into today is the team competition. This format can change from competition to competition, and some will include this event, but others will strictly be individual, like the 2025 World Championships in Jakarta. As of recording, is still happening, but as of release, this will have pretty recently just have happened. They didn't have a team competition in it at all. So sometimes this is included, sometimes it isn't. Like in events like the British Championships, I know a lot of my listeners are UK listeners. So in the British Championships, which is held in March time, there is no team competition. It's just strictly individual. If there's any comparisons I need to make, I'll make it to British, because that's the biggest competition that pretty much anyone in British gymnastics will know. Held in Liverpool, there is a back gym, but they don't have the extra apparatus. There's a few differences like that. Like they don't have the extra set of parallel bars or the extra pommel horse, but the rest of it is approximately the same. They have about 2 hours of warm-up and stuff like that. Hey guys, Winston here. I hope you're enjoying the episode so far. If you are, please do leave a like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you can. Also, if you want more gymnastic content from me, you can check out my Instagram at wpowell05 or my TikTok at winstonpowell5. Thank you, and let's get back to the episode. So, first and foremost, with the team competition, the main warm-up is normal. However, on each apparatus, the allotted warm-up time for each gymnast on the apparatus is totaled. And the team is allowed to split that however they see fit. So, if one gymnast can take 20 seconds, the other one can take 70, as long as the team itself doesn't go over the total 150 seconds that they are allowed, which is the 50 seconds for each gymnast times 3. So that's in team final competitions. This is different to in the all-around and in qualifications, where it's simply 50 seconds per gymnast on each apparatus and not pulled together, even in qualifications where they will sometimes be as a team. 8 teams qualify for the team final and are spread amongst the first 4 apparatus, so floor, pommel, rings, vault, with two teams per apparatus. So the top 2 start on floor, the next 2 start on pommel, etc. The first team on each apparatus will warm up and compete until that apparatus is complete, then the others follow suit. So say each apparatus has a team A and a team B. Team A will be the ones that qualified lower, so second qualifiers, fourth qualifiers, sixth qualifiers, and eighth qualifiers will go first. Then first, third, fifth, and seventh will go second. So all of the A teams will go first, then all the B teams will go. So all of those are FIG events, so the big ones. But other team competitions can be different, essentially. So the team finals will be 5-3-3. And those numbers correlate to 5 people in the team, 3 go up, 3 of those 5 compete, and all 3 of those have to count. But other competitions can have things like 5-4-3, things like that. There's no rule for how many apparatus you compete on, but if there's 5 people in the team, you have to assume that all of those will be somewhere between 1 and 6 apparatus. 6 being the absolute most, because that's the amount of apparatus that you can compete on, and 1 obviously being the least, because if you're not competing on the apparatus, you're not in the team. Other competitions will have different formats, like 6-5-4, and there's a different one that's 6-6-4, something like that. I think Northern Euros is similar to that. 5-4-3, that's British teams. But they will have the same concept behind what those numbers actually mean. So 5 in the team, 4 up, 3 to count. That's what I mean by 5-4-3. And if I say 4 up, that means I'm saying that 4 people of the team are competing. It doesn't have to be the same 4 for all the apparatus. The 5th member has to be doing something. Same with 5-3-3. There is a bit of strategy that you can use in team competitions in terms of which order you go up in, because the team completely decides that. But I won't go into that here. I'll go into a bit more detail in the book. But I will say there's no one-size-fits-all approach, and it will be to do with what the gymnast wants, essentially, what the gymnasts are most comfortable with. Sometimes they don't consult with the gymnasts and they just sort of go based off of start scores or likelihood to score cleanly. But again, there's no one-size-fits-all approach, so it's up to the team, essentially. It's up to the coaches mostly. Next competition I'll be going into is the individual all-around, specifically the final. So this competition has been mentioned a few times prior, but not in great detail. By that, I mean in the scoring video. I just read the thing directly from the book, so that's on me. So combination of all 6 apparatus, adding to the final all-around score, again, which is covered in the scoring video. Olympic all-around champion is often considered to be the best gymnast in the world at the time, despite any apparatus specialties. So even though it's only 1 medal, it's often considered to be the most coveted of all of them. So warm-up is the same as the one I described at the start, 1 to 2 hours long. Something I didn't mention in the other parts is that in this warm-up, normally you'll start on the piece ahead of whichever one you start on. So if you start on rings, you'll start the warm-up on vault. So you go vault, P-bar, high bar, floor, pommel, and then rings, and then you're ready for rings, essentially. So the last piece you warm up is the piece you compete on first. That's at least for the team competition, but also commonly used in all-around. But technically, you can warm up in any order you want. This means that the apparatus that you compete on, you will only have the touch warm-up to warm up on that specific apparatus. All of the rest of the warm-up you do will be in the back gym and technically on different apparatus. Technically, they're meant to be identical, but they won't be exactly identical to like the millimeter, obviously. And in terms of the grip on P-bars and the feel on pommel horse, for example, and rings, like every apparatus will have their slight differences, even with the same manufacturers. So you warm up, compete, warm up, compete. So warm up on the first apparatus, compete on that first apparatus, then move around, then the second, third, whatever, all the way up to 6. The apparatus that you are on is determined by your qualification results. So there are 24 that qualify for the all-around final, split up across the first 4 apparatus, such that the last person in the group in that specific apparatus will be the person that qualified the highest. So the order of the final apparatus with regards to the qualification scores will be 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And then like you can just sort of work backwards from there to figure out the order that you'll be doing any given apparatus on. So given that, you drop one each apparatus. So the person who was first up on that apparatus drops to 6th up. So last person to compete on that apparatus. So for instance, the person who qualified the highest in the group, let's use my junior worlds, for example. So I was 7th, like I qualified 7th, which meant I was 5th up on pommels. So I was then 4th up on rings, 3rd up on vault, 2nd up on P-bars, 1st up on high bar, and last up on floor, because I was in the top of that group, because it was 7th to 12th qualified. I didn't do great in that competition, but it was just to clarify. So this means there's no strategy in regard to the orders of the apparatus. You just sort of have to do it. And all that matters is an individual's own performance. Apparatus finals. Next. So these are simpler, normally 2 or 3 per day. So in major competitions, so you may need to do more than one apparatus on any given day. Regardless, the main warm-up is open period now. So you can warm up to the point where you're called out for your apparatus. So when there's people currently competing on one apparatus and there's more to come, more will be warming up for the next one. There is also a one touch given, same as the all-around. But as 8 gymnasts qualify for the apparatus finals, these are split up into 2 groups of 4. So first 4, second 4. But the order is also completely random. So no given order. It's not like reverse order, which they did in the British this year. It's just completely random. But it does mean that the first 4 will warm up, have their one touch. Then they'll compete 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the second 4 will warm up. And then it'll go 5, 6, 7, 8. That's pretty much all there is to say about the apparatus finals, because there's not much else to say. Like all the rest of it was pretty much already covered. You just need to have your own way of preparing, and the draw will happen in plenty of time for you to be able to prepare in enough time. So you just have to be ready for it when it comes up. Hey guys, I may have mentioned it already. I've written a book. It's called The Game of Gymnastics, Understanding the Game. And it's about all things that you'll see on the TV when you find gymnastics on there, from the apparatus to the scoring to the competition formats, even like the routine construction that you'll find there. Now, it's great for anyone who wants to understand gymnastics more, or even gymnasts and coaches that want to think about how they might construct routines a bit better. I learned some new things when I wrote this book, and I know the sport very well. Some things about deductions and some things about like the apparatus specifically. So if you want to learn more about the sport, I would suggest you go check it out. It'll be in the descriptions or the show notes below. If you join the waitlist early, you can get an early bird discount of 10% if you essentially pre-order it now. And I will let you head back into the episode. Enjoy. The last one I'll cover is qualifications. And the reason I'm doing it last is because it's the most all-encompassing of them all. Because essentially it's a combination of all of them. And also the reason I've done it is because it's the most applicable to any competition, essentially. So warm-up will be the exact same. In terms of big competitions and smaller ones, you will just warm up on the pieces you'll actually compete in if there's no back gym. And then touch warm-up, again, is the same as the all-around and everything else. The competition functions similarly to the all-around, just with those who aren't competing on a given apparatus moving around with their group and resting for that apparatus. So if someone's competing on high bar and pommels, they'll compete on high bar, go around with the group on floor. Everyone else will compete on floor, then they'll go around on pommel, and then they'll compete on pommel. So everyone still goes around at the exact same rate, but it allows gymnasts to qualify for the apparatus finals, all-around final, and the team final when there is also a team final. It's when there are some, but not all of these, that these become difficult to understand. For example, I told you I'd get back to this. British. This is an all-around competition, but also a qualification for the apparatus finals. It's not an all-around qualification. It is the all-around final. So some people will be doing all-around, but others will only be doing specific apparatus to be able to qualify for the apparatus finals. That's why it gets confusing sometimes, because they see that someone like Max Whitlock is nearly last, but that's just because he's only doing one piece. He only needs to do pommels because he only qualifies for pommels. That's all he needs to do. That's why people sometimes get confused with the British, because it's a combination of an all-around final and an apparatus qualifications. When it is a team final, not the British, a lot of competitions are team also qualifications for the team final. They will have a 5-4-3 format to allow all gymnasts to have a fair shot to qualify for their desired finals, like, for instance, all-around. Because a lot of the time, you won't want an all-arounder counting towards the team score for a given apparatus, because maybe it's not their strongest, and you have 3 really strong apparatus specialists on that apparatus. It just allows you to have the best of both worlds, specifically for the qualifications. Also allows a little bit of leeway, so some people can fall, but you can still qualify for the final. So I've covered this before, but some competitions will have less or more days of competition than others. So essentially, you will have to just be able to decipher what they are based on the competition, based on what people are trying to compete for. And you just need to know what they're trying to compete for to work it out. But that gives you a basic overview of what the competition formats are. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's hopefully somewhat informative, and gives you some sort of idea of what people actually want based on the competition that they're doing. But it's relatively sort of dense with information, and it may not be news to a lot of people, but it's important to at the very least get the basics and understand what actually happens in competitions. But in order to compete, you need routines, and in order to have routines, you must first construct them. But the next episode, in regards to talking through the chapters of the book, it'll be routine construction, which is not apparatus specific. It's more of a general. I really like routine construction. I love doing it. So I'm quite excited to talk about that. But yeah, that'll be safe for next time. So if you did enjoy, then please leave a like and comment what you want to hear about. Maybe not next, but at some point on the podcast, because I'm always open to hearing what you have to say. Always want to try and give you what you want to hear. But yeah, let me know what you want to hear in the comments/reviews. So if you are interested in this sort of thing, then please consider buying the book. I put a lot of time and effort into it. It was loads of fun to write. And if you enjoy it, then I can make more. Obviously not about the same sort of stuff, because this has sort of run its course. But if you want to know about more different things, let me know what they are. If you want to hear more different stuff on the podcast, then let me know about that as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.